Welcome to the first episode of the Shotcall podcast. My name is ConanCreative and I'm joined by the beautiful play-by-play caster of the EAL, the one and only CasuallyCutie.
Hello. Glad to be talking more about the EAL in my off time. I can't get away from this tournament and I wouldn't even want to.
And for the first episode, we got a special guest, a person that is mostly known for his achievements in the early seasons with a team called Free Agent Community, and then later on other teams, but everyone knows him from that team. Hi Dyrone, how you doing?
What is this kind of scuffed intro? Jesus.
This intro is incredible. What are you on about? I mean,
whoa, Free Agents
personally-
bringing up that trauma? Wow.
Bro, gotta bring
personally,
up
I'd
up
say
history.
you know Dyrone from all the stat sheets going on in the tier list channel. Of course,
True.
excellent player as well. So I guess we're very lucky to have such a player so tuned in to knowing exactly how strong every single team is going into the rest of the season.
Yes.
But yeah, so I have a little list of like things that we're gonna like talk about today. It's basically like a small Q&A with either own, so like you can do like a quick introduction, then as a question like how was your off season going from season 4 to season 5 now in the EAL, and then thoughts on like meta, and then later on we can start like making a tier list, which is your specialty.
No, Lord.
But yeah, tell us who you are again.
Oh, okay. I'm Yannick. I'm a Dutch player in the EAL. In my off time from the EAL, I'm a nurse or a student nurse still. I've been playing League for about 12 years since the end of beta, start of season 1. I've hit Challenger and Master in multiple roles, but that was way back. And yeah, I'm pretty much a field player now. I've played EAL in every single role except for top lane. So
The only thing you're gonna play there would be Singed anyway, so
yeah, I mean, I've played Singed in every single role. So
Disgusting.
will we
There-
see
there would
Singed AD
definitely
carry
be
this season?
of course.
Oh,
Of
next
course.
week, this Sunday coming, please.
Singed you me.
Maybe. There's a good possibility that there will be a Singed in group phase.
And yeah, I mean, so you've been really around the block, like you've been playing for a long time.
Yeah,
Like,
a little bit too long if you ask me.
everyone is just stuck in this game.
True. That's
But
very true.
it's, I mean, as we like say like, yes, we hate League, but I think, what is in your opinion like the biggest like coming difference like when you first started and how you view the game now?
Yeah, at the start of when I started League, it was really fun and no one actually knew what the fuck they were doing. And right now I feel like the game has become a lot more tactical, like
A lot more optimized, right? I feel.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
back in season 3, insects was something you were doing only if you were the highest level. I mean, it's like a classic example, of course, but now it's something every gold leasing player can do, and if you can't, you're trolling. So it's kind of interesting to see, and that's
Yeah.
something I actually wanted to talk about a little bit more, right? Specifically in regards to the EAL, because you've been here since very near the start, right? Or maybe at the start. I'm not too sure.
Season 2. Like
Yeah.
I was asked to be a sub in season 1
For
for
which team? I
South
forgot.
Prison. DZP.
Yeah.
Uh,
with my legendary run of fucking OMG. Let's go.
Yeah, but I declined, unfortunately, because I didn't really think it would be that fun, and I regretted it almost instantly.
So yeah, I guess my question is, if you've been around longer than I have, I'm more of a zoomer here. Halfway season 3, I just came on the cast, but no. As someone who's been in the league a little bit longer, how would you say the EAL's evolved over time? Like level of team, level of play, level of seriousness? Because I think this season we've got some really, really good teams, a really good level of play, and I just wanted your opinion on that.
Yeah, I feel like the level of competition has definitely increased by a lot. Like at first there were only platinum teams at most, and now we have like full diamond stacks and even some master players, and that just makes the competition more fun and interesting to watch, in my opinion.
It gives like a whole nother vibe to like the competition. Like when you go back to like, yes, everyone is just for funning everything, and now you just like see like, oh my lord, people actually try hard and actually think about what they're gonna draft and not just sprint it down with like one tricks and stuff.
Yeah, like I definitely feel like everyone is tryharding more, but I also feel from a lot of teams that they're also doing this for fun.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously competing is very fun to do, right? Doing things well, actually trying your best to push your limits rather than just doing it for fun. Like, even though it's still fun to do, right? It's that level of competition, that level of sort of seriousness, and it feels like we don't have. This is something I was looking at going over the tier list, right? And I know you've got some teams in E tier, right? We'll get onto the topic of your master tier list later. I don't think we've got a team that's like. I don't think they have anything going for them, right?
Yeah.
Because you look previous seasons, right? You look at like Locken, I believe it was season 3, some stuff like that. Maybe
I think
yeah, like in Dirty
4.
Dancers,
like
the Dirty Dancers.
even free agents community. Thank you very much.
No, but these teams, right? Nobody like you look at like 2 games from them, you'll be like, maybe there's some hope for them, but they're clearly outclassed in certain ways, right? They don't have serious roster together, which fair enough for them. They want to play for fun, but they don't have like a proper team together. But I look at like everyone. Obviously, I haven't seen all the teams yet, right? I've mostly just been watching the games that I've cast, which is all the games on the stream. But even looking at like SkyQRU and Team Blender, which I'm not going to say the wrong name for, right? Like these teams that coming new into the league, they still have they feel like they're competitive and can strike back against the names like PEL. Even though PEL obviously very dominant at the moment, names like BBS and like 99 Woodcut. There are definitely angles which these lower tier teams can look to win these games. I'm not confident going into any match. Maybe it's just like season week 1, week 2 thing, but I'm not confident going into any match saying this team is definitely 100% guaranteed to win.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Although for example, in Pool 2, I really feel like there's only a top 5 and then there's one other team. And kind of the same in Pool 1, where there's for me a clear top 2, and then the rest of the other teams who can compete for the 3rd and 4th place.
Yeah, I guess I still feel though that like even if there's like a top team, they're like I wouldn't count out.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously
definitely.
PL, CTR being that top team, by the way. Never doubted. But seriously, we'll talk about more a little bit later as well because I can't shut up about this team. But no, seriously, I think like obviously, yeah, there are teams that are looking a bit stronger right now, but I genuinely do feel that like I don't feel there's any like teams that there's not worth anything talking about and teams that there's not anything interesting happening.
Yeah,
which I think is really cool.
I mean, also I think for a lot of teams, it's like the first week debuff. Like I can only like, of course, like say from my team, since I'm part of like managing and also now coaching again. I'm gonna cry for like
which
ETR.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some nerves, of course, from a few like some of my players, and I think once like the second weekend everyone gets like back into this like rhythm of like yes, okay, we have to get into this like more competitive mindset again. I think that can shake things up, I think.
Yeah. Maybe we won't see games go to 30 minutes or 40 minutes every single time if that happens.
Let's hope.
Oh god. And I mean, that is something to talk about, right? Because this tournament, obviously, season 4 ended, durability patch happened, and then season 5 started, right? Durability patch plus all the like fallout, the like the second patch, third patch, whatever. It's kind of interesting to see the tournament, right? Because we saw a lot of games obviously being decided within, like, I don't want to say decided, but flipped maybe within the first couple of minutes, first 15, 20 minutes, right? That was a lot of the strengths of teams like maybe Valhalla, which don't seem to be doing quite as well in this new meta. No offense to them, I do think they've still got a really high skill ceiling. Limeox still a very good game on Renata, but yeah, seem to be less able to play this dominant early game style, and maybe that's something teams need to adjust to, or maybe it's just teams, as I say, not being so warmed up, not being so 100% ready to take on a competitive game like this. But obviously, you're very numbers. I think that you're kind of a very numbers guy. You're a guy that likes analyzing things a lot, obviously, as evidenced by the tier list. So I just wanted your opinion on these changes in the durability patch and maybe where the meta might be going or should be going.
I just hope the games will be longer. I'm a really big fan of long games, or at least 30+ minute games, instead of hard storms. And I think this meta will suit a couple teams who are more late game orientated, more than, for example, the likes of Valhalla in sports.
Yeah.
And I just hope that this trend continues, and I just don't want to see more assassins.
My voice is going to get blown out. I'll say now. If we see even at bangers every single week, I'm gonna love it, but I'm also gonna hate it. Say what bangers? I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, as I said, I've mostly just seen the games that have happened on stream, right? But the games on the stream were really, really impressive in my opinion, and this is part of why I say that like there's so much potential in this team, because obviously you look back, even for game 1, PEL versus Valhalla, PEL obviously had like a pretty dominant victory. Right, in that match, but Valhalla I think still showed a lot of good stuff, right? Obviously didn't get the snowball rolling. Taku though, finding some nice plays up in the top lane. Even with Gego being forced off a lot of what he finds comfortable, still was able to kind of hold the mid lane. Bot lane, Limeox managed to look for some stuff, but still, yeah, that was an interesting game to watch. I think, like, yeah, just going into it. But game 2, Lost Nation, BBS, right?
That's game 3. Hello.
Sorry, that was game 3. Sorry, I thought my note. I'm flipping through my notes. Okay, sorry. I do all my notes physically because I'm an idiot. I knew it was game 3. I was like, game 2. That doesn't sound right, but that's what the notes say. But they don't. So 99 broadcasting QRU, right? Obviously, you got to take part in that one. Got to actually have a good performance as well. That game was quite close though as well. QRU showing a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. I think because I was watching that game, but I think what was like your draft decision? Like, actually, like, yeah, of course, Fiddle on comfort is always just like, yes. That's the key. But what was like your real draft plan going into that game, actually? If you wanna like say that, of course.
Yeah, sure. Like, we decided to draft Gangplank along with Rakan and Jin, because we wanted some long range engage, and we just wanted to avoid early fights as much as possible. Just get into the team fighting stage and then just pick someone off from with either TP, like you guys have seen, or a GP ult into snare, and then Rakan jump on top of it.
Yeah,
we just wanted the long range.
And then just like have like 2 other people that could just like yoink.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think Kha'Zix actually, I don't think people, when it comes like to the meta, you don't really think about Kha'Zix anymore. When it comes to the meta, I think especially in like these amateur leagues, people hold themselves way too close like to actual pro leagues like LEC, LCK, like so like everyone wants to draft that, like always the best meta champions, etc. But I think what is a big key in lower tiers, it's always comfort first, then meta.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and that's also my draft philosophy. Like, I rather draft something that we're comfortable with than something that's super OP, but no one really actually knows how to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's a sort of balance to be struck. I feel like there's times, obviously, where you can like lose a game in draft if you pick like 5 comfort picks.
Yeah, definitely.
You can, if your team doesn't have like a cohesive identity of what you want to do, you can end up looking really lost in draft. But obviously, in the game versus QI, it's actually a really interesting game. I was just checking the VODs, and I remember what happened in this game. You guys are falling pretty far behind in the early game, if I remember correctly, right? It was only really Fiddle on the gangplank, which obviously Fiddle gangplank, absolutely disgusting.
Craigism.
Fiddle on the gangplank was the only one, holding down the fort, going somewhat even in this game, even if you are picking up a couple of dragons here and there. Yeah. I remember Sparky being 0-0-0 or something at like 15 minutes, which we said was like, that's not where we want to be as a Kha'Zix. But as you had some sort of idea of what you were doing, right? With Jin, with the Rakan, with the gangplank. Did you really feel any stress at any point in the game? Like, were you like, oh, we've drafted this comfort, we've got jungler on comfort, we've got bot lane, mid lane, well, top lane, I guess, on comfort. Were you ever like, oh, we're sweating at this point, we don't necessarily know?
Oh, no, not really. Like, for me personally, I felt like we were always kind of in control of the game. We just we were following on game plan. Sure, there were a couple mistakes. There were a couple unlucky moments. For example, Fiddle diving mid lane and then Senna showing up for a heal.
Really nice macro play there, by the way.
But like stuff like that, and then just after the top lane gank where Starve Fury just barely survived with 10 HP. Like stuff like that happens, and like we made a couple early game mistakes, but we're kind of known for that right now.
Durability patch, yeah.
Exactly. But like we were always confident in our ability to come back and just out team fight other teams.
I think that's quite interesting, isn't it?
So while it's like saying on the topic of like picks and like draft, so do you think that, because like of course like everyone is just like screaming like ban or pick Seraphine, but always just ban Seraphine, like do you think we will see like more stuff like that coming up? Is like non-traditional AD carries anymore, since it's really weird. Like Zeri, of course, being still like strong, but else kind of weird picks going on in bot lane.
I really hope to see some more non-traditional AD carries or non-traditional picks in bot lane. I just think it makes the meta and the gameplay a lot more interesting instead of just linear.
It gives like, more creative, like...
Yeah, exactly. Like last season I obviously played mid lane with a couple of mages, so it wouldn't be out of expectation for me to pick for example Ziggs or Syndra or anything like that.
I do have you down in my notes for last week. I scout teams before I cast them. Since we gotta go in with a bit of an idea, or you're just gonna be looking like an idiot as I normally. Well, I look like an idiot enough anyway, so gotta cover that a little bit. But I have you here. I'm looking at my notes. I had champs. I have anything I think Lamau, which is the only person I wrote that for you. Obviously because you're really flexible, as you talked about, and yeah, it would be nice to see some, I don't know, more mage picks down towards spot lane, maybe, because I think there's a pretty good diversity of champions at the moment, right? In every lane, even in top lane, right, which is normally seen as like a bad place for diversity. Jungle, you can pick assassins, though obviously there are like the meta is to go for these like
more bruiser
engages.
Although now because like the 12.13 of course just dropped, so the Fiddle buffs came through. So I'm actually kind of excited to see if some teams in the EAL are gonna pick up this champion. But of course,
skin as well soon.
Yeah, skin buff, baby. But I think especially for Fiddlesticks, for example, it's really hard to pull them off in amateur competitive because the communication of the team just has to be on point. Like coordination, knowing what to do next, and playing around vision. And I think there's still a lot of teams I think like a few. The only like one time I remember actually like seeing Fiddlesticks in EAL, or back then it was like EDC, was actually on my team, One Mic Gang. we still
season
go.
1.
We still remember those. But yeah, that was like the first and only time Fiddlesticks was picked. And because I really like this champion, but it's so hard to actually pull off. Or because like, especially in jungle, like jungle mid synergies are gonna be harder, because I think mid lane is mostly AP champions currently. So it's hard to really have like double AP mid jungle, but then like the rest of the, it's just always just like finding a way to incorporate everything that you want to do.
I feel like double AP comps are going to be more viable with Demonic Embrace and Liandry's Torment changes.
Oh yeah, because they stack now.
Exactly.
Like the ticks and stuff.
Tick
tack, tick tack.
It's going to be annoying.
Yes. So can't wait for Fiddle Galia. But I mean, speaking of also like the new patch and junglers, the Evelyn buff I think is also quite interesting, because they buffed the magic resist, like magic resist reduction on her W by actually like 10% on each level, which is kind of huge.
Insane.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So
it feels disgusting.
I hope we will actually see more AP junglers, but then of course people always want to be having the laners to be the carry. So I think maybe we're gonna see some Sejuani's in the jungle again, Trundle probably.
It's gonna be interesting either way. Like,
definitely.
As I say, these buffs and nuffs, I don't think they're going to really create a centralized meta, which is good, because, you know, obviously we talked about it just now, how much we would like it, so that there's a lot of different options to play, a lot of different flexibility in drafts, especially at this sort of level in tournament as well, because you talked about players getting better. That if you're better at the game, you're probably better at picking these weird champs, right? You don't have to resort to comfort to beat these better teams, which is going to be something cool if you can see some adaptation in draft. But I'm actually curious. Obviously, I'm gonna do a very good podcasting and segue here. Which teams do you think are most likely to adapt in draft, have the most flexible picks, and which teams do you think are going to succeed the most with these changes, or just in general in the EAL?
This might be a real big bias, but I feel like 99 Woodcutting might be the best in adapting to draft and adapting to meta.
Absolutely no bias.
Yeah.
Well, I personally think it's going to be CTR, but, you know, I'm obviously also unbiased as well on that front.
I mean, like, yeah, CTR can also be really flexible. But to me, they have only been really successful with the one type of meta.
Yeah, I was doing a bit, but still. I do want to talk a little bit more about the general power of teams as well, because that's what we're here for. So, like, we've got to call our shots. We've got to, you know, say, this is what we're gonna go all in on this team. And obviously, we have the Tierlist making themselves on our podcast. How can we not talk about team and player power level? Exactly. Is there anything particularly interesting from week one, or at least the start of the tournament, but like week one, that you want to talk about with like changing how you view teams or how teams are playing or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. At week 0, the tier list is mainly based on ranked, and the people who switched roles are ranked a little bit lower. And in week 1, I really started looking at how they perform, how they move around the map, certain decisions they make. And to me, what was really surprising is how well coordinated Pell was. Like I feel like all of their players are at least in the top of their roles right now, especially Cry for me. Like he was just insane on the Poppy.
Just being in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
Yeah, Cry for me is the jungle. I forgot.
Yes. Yeah, right now I have him rated as the only S+ player.
Damn.
For his outstanding performance. And yeah, like some players were kind of underwhelming. I feel like Bond, GG Bond was kind of underwhelming this week. Rossen was a little bit underwhelming. Like a couple of players were just. I don't feel like they lived up to their potential or just had a really off week. Might be nerves, but
Yeah. First week, obviously, first week overreactions are a real thing. So we don't want to go too hard on this, but
it's the first week debuff. It's the first Everyone week. Gets it.
Exactly.
I think these are going to be the exact standings at the end of the tournament. You know? Like, I don't see. Yeah. Obviously. I don't think anything's going to change in the ensuing. What's it like?
Not at all.
6 weeks or something we have going forward.
ETR Miracle Run.
ETR Miracle Run.
As it's the misfit spirit, bro. gotta start off bad in the first week, but then just swoop back up.
Yes.
So, if you haven't had a quick look at the schedule yet, you might want to do that, because I want to talk about next week's games on stream. Obviously, because I don't care about the games off stream. Who knows about those? Nobody cares. Yeah, I'm joking, but I still want to see a little bit about the games that are going to be on stream, and I want your opinion, because obviously, first match we have Lost Nation up against BGT, aka the team that doxes themselves with the really long.
No. No, they doxed one of my players.
Respectable.
Yeah.
We haven't seen BGT on stream. They did win the one game they had off stream versus KB. Which I guess, KB. They are a new team. We don't know too much about them, so I don't know how much we can get from that. But how do you see this game going? Who do you see winning that one?
I feel like it can go either side, right? Like both junglers are pretty decent mechanically, but they're also really coin flip. And for me, this game just comes down to mentals and keeping your mental and just not tilting. But in general, I feel like BGT has a slight upper hand with consistency of Lincoln.
The support AD Leona player.
Exactly. Lincoln, obviously, another stats player. Someone who you probably respect a lot for what they do. Also, I respect them a lot. Yeah, you don't respect. Put that in the podcast, by the way. Don't cut that out. Dyrone doesn't respect Lincoln at all for anything he does.
Obviously.
Heard it here first. Some more. The first hashtag drama the EAL has ever seen. Hopefully we don't see anything.
Yeah, I've never been involved in drama before.
No. We don't talk about Bruno here.
But anyway, that's interesting. I mean, Lost Nation. I was gonna go through all the matches, but it's an interesting tangent. I didn't have too much hopes for Lost Nation going into week 1, but they actually seem to be performing pretty damn well. Can I get you guys' thoughts on them?
Yeah, like I feel like Lost Nation has a lot of pretty decent and good players, and they just vibe well together.
Yeah.
Like I've played a couple of games with them, and it just seems like a really fun team to be in. And if they just if they can keep the positive energy, then I think they will succeed.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the time something that gets said a little bit but doesn't get said enough is just how momentum based 5v5 League of Legends is, right? Like, obviously, it's not like if you got a bad attitude, you lose. But that's something they talked even about on the LEC, right? Summer Split being about whether teams can keep their mental together and just keep strong mentally, or whether they collapse their mental and then collapse their gameplay. Obviously, there's a bit of a chicken and egg with that, right? Like, obviously, if you're playing well, it's easier to keep a good mental by quite a bit. But still, something
In
very,
the
very
end,
important.
it's a team game. So if you as an individual can of course like always have like, oh yes, PMA baby, let's go. But for example, if like two of your players are like already mental boom, there's like kind of hard to like come back. Unless you're like really, really good at like doing motivational speeches during the game.
Yeah, just a long Yamato cannon tangent.
Do this for me, Europe.
Brothers,
God.
we may not win every single game, but we can win this. We are viewed as the underdogs. Blah, 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 blah. 2 hours later.
Yeah. All right.
The voice
and
of
then
God.
Oh my god. All right, and then game 2 on stream. KB versus 99. I'm gonna ask you, who do you think is gonna come out on the top of that one? 99 woodcutting Dyrone. Who do you think is gonna win the 99 woodcutting versus KB game? How do you think that one's gonna go?
Yeah, I feel like the spectator will win.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be.
Game.
I hope so. I really hope so. Obviously,
Singe Doomy, Singe Doomy, Singe Doomy.
Doomy, Singe Doomy. What? Oh shit! I gave away draft. Fuck.
Oh, no. Even though, like,
at least give me hovers, please. Just give me hovers.
Give me. It's going down to my narrative notes quickly. Hold on, I need to. Any other good narrative notes I should have?
Okay, we're gonna pick champions, and then we're gonna run it down.
Oh, you guys are gonna pick champions.
yes.
my
Interesting decision in the current meta. Honestly, I think dodging is one
Is
of the
the
best
way to
ways
go.
win.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, still, obviously, we won't talk about that one too much. We talked a little bit about KB. Like, I don't know what to make of them. Do you know what to make of them yet?
No, not really. Like on paper, they are the weakest team in their pool. But like, you never really know unless you play against them, right?
Yeah, on paper and on the Rift, two very different places.
Exactly.
So then, obviously, third match of the week, it's going to be ETR versus INT, which I'm very interested to see, right? Because ETR coming from underdogs going up against reigning champions Valhalla Esports. If Esports can't get this win, I think that's really, really big.
Yeah. Honestly, I just want to see Conan's team getting absolutely stomped.
Oh,
What did I do to you? What the fuck? I
A
mean,
lot.
invited you onto a podcast really early in the morning.
Yeah.
True. I mean, coming from my perspective, the thing is, I think as we said like earlier, with Int, they are kind of locked in like only one style they can play. And I think my players currently like really motivated to expand like my my jungler, who's an ex-mid laner, and I picked him up in the last Master Friends event. Is now jungling for me, and he's actually like really open and always wants to like learn new things. My top lane is weak side king, but also I'm gonna put him on strong side when we face Ornn.
Io.
And then I think my team is very open for a lot of ideas currently. And they don't really mental boom, which is like a gift from God to me. Like, thank God.
But my question to you is, right, do they have the hands for it?
Oh yes.
As long as you've got the mind, the hands can come second. That's why I keep telling myself, despite still being Silver 1 and knowing too much about this goddamn game.
You might have the brain, but not the hands.
Yeah. I think it's just that my brain goes AFK when I play games and stuff. You know, when I go on a huge tangent on cast, like I'm clearly not talking about what needs to be talked about. That just happens in the game. And it's a lot worse when you can't just like snap back to it as instantly as you can when you're just talking.
Snap back to reality.
So I guess we are giving that one softly over to Valhalla Esports. But if they can't win, I think there is definitely an ETR upset, especially if Esports have been found out as everyone thinks they have been. But if they can show us something new, you know, not playing that sort of carry style jungler, which was nerfed in obviously by the durability patch, maybe we see them come out. But it's going to be an interesting match, definitely.
No more volley bear, let's go.
I mean, like, yeah, hopefully. But like last season, Esports also started off really rocky. and just made it back all the way to the finals and ended up winning. So I definitely don't think that we can count them out
Of course not. Of course
Oh,
not.
after
yeah, I
week
forgot
one,
the
and
clip
if they
buffs.
lose in week two. Like at the start of last season, right? I had InSports rated really highly, and everyone was saying, "Oh, they're not that good. They're not that good," and I was like, "They are. They are. They can definitely go top 3, maybe even win." And I've been saying that since week 1 of last split. So
Okay,
I'm with
nice.
True Belief.
I'm glad you got to promote yourself before we did the
Oh.
little bit at the end. You know, just
It-
say how smart you are. Got it.
Yeah,
Talk before everyone else.
dude, I'm the only one who can compete with Rickett in IQ.
Oh, true. And you compete with Rickett in terms of scaling, though. I mean,
No,
we're not
Jesus.
going down that tangent. We're not going down that tangent. My man's playing Bolivar now. That's a dead narrative. But finally, the final match of the week is going to be on stream. Will be PL up against TB, and I don't want to say if there's any match this week that's set in stone, it's this one. But it is the 2-0 team going up against the 0-2 team.
Yeah. Like I have not seen too much of Team Blender, but like they were kind of disappointing in the results to me. Like I thought they would at least go 1-1, if not 2-0 last week, but I hope they will show up this week and give us more.
This time I won't cast a custom going into the game, so it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I still can't. That's the most bad cast I've ever done on anyone. I still feel so bad about it.
It starts with success.
Team Blunder. I don't know how you can even say it like that.
Well, apparently.
Gotta put all of the drafts in the blender and see what comes out.
True.
Oh.
True.
There's
I
a
mean,
new...
I think they do have a lot of like intelligence on their team, right? They got like a few coaches kicking around on it, or so I have heard. So that I do think there's definitely a lot of potential with this team, right? Also sourcing good stuff out of Zera, sourcing good stuff out of Terraforming as well. But I think it is going to be interesting to see if they can perform, and but the team they want to do it against probably not Purple Emperor Lizards, just because that team, as we talked about previously, is so very strong at the moment, really dominant in the standings, and just in terms of level of play.
Yeah.
I feel like their top side is definitely really strong.
Yeah. As long as I
It is
think,
strong.
like, even when you look through like the results, you could like see like Wizard on Olaf
Yeah.
against IT.
Angel Sarah also having really dying a lot, but also having a lot of kill participation.
Yeah. I think for a lot of teams, I don't know how like long teams have been like put together, but I think, for example, even if you're like friends for a long time but like only started playing as a team recently, I think there's still some sort of upper hand for teams that are like the same but have been playing with each other for a longer time.
Yeah.
Like synergy and gameplay together goes a long way. So that's why I think like, of course, I don't know any of the players of Purple Emperor Lizards, but from their performance I gained that they know how to play with each other, and that's something
it definitely felt like that. Maybe not as much as against True Sigma historians, but like from what I heard, that game was slightly TSH favored, but then they started throwing, and
it was at
just
some point
predictable.
everyone just ran in.
Yeah,
It was kind of like, oof.
That's also very like them.
But yeah,
Just run in, see what happens.
We don't know what the roster, of course, for TSH is going to be, since they played with 2 subs this week.
Yeah.
So depending on this week, I don't think their support is still here.
No, Gems is gone for at least 3 more weeks.
Yeah, so I think
And I believe Get Garrett is back.
So we're gonna keep on seeing the cursed Heimerdinger support probably multiple times.
No, I hope not. Nick, stop playing that shit. Fuck's sakes.
Gotta get into your enemy's head.
I'm not even with them in the pool and I'm already annoyed. Please.
That's the
no.
mood. Like, I have to face that.
Eat their Heimerdinger, let's go.
But yeah. Okay, but then I think we're like through with the schedule on like some teams, but like staying at like the individuals of like a team, what are like some players you look at teams and think they are good right now, or some that are promising that you think during the season might just explode and just carry games or something?
I feel like I haven't really seen a standout performance of Marcus, CTR Marcus, and I really hope he will pull himself together and just stomp some games, or at least show everyone how good he actually is. And besides that, I feel like I really want to see a lot more of Kyoryu Charizard and Sergeant Whiskey Jack. Like I feel like those two supports are a little bit overshadowed by the likes of Limox and Warlock, but I feel like they both can hard carry games sometimes, and I just hope they will do. I love a good support carry.
I mean, yeah, we know Lincoln for a long time. Like, he was the support in last place Legionnaires. I think it was also like season 2, yeah.
Yeah.
But then he wasn't able to, like, he didn't have time, I think, for like the last few seasons. But I'm definitely glad that he's making a comeback.
From what I heard, he got his bachelor's and during the flood in Luxembourg and south of Germany. I believe he also got hit by it, so that's why he couldn't play.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so I'm really excited to like see him back on the Rift and just like.
Yeah, definitely.
Not gonna leave Leona open against them.
Yeah.
When in doubt, just pick Nautilus against them and just abuse that you have the Q advantage with the Dutch line. But yeah, so, but you said like Kyoryu Charizard. I haven't, I don't think I paid attention really to QRU yet. Like one sec. I'm gonna just go through the results right now. But in what regard do you think like Charizard is like still lacking?
From the game we played against them, like there were some positional mistakes, some overextending, and some micro decisions that were kind of iffy. But if Charizard can just clean it up, then then they will carry the game pretty much. Like it's not looking at the champion pool, it's mainly Lux, Soraka, and more enchanters like that, and I feel like the meta really favors that right now. I just want to see more enchanters and just be a little bit more proactive in lane. Obviously not against us, but like against other teams.
Make the enemy team suffer so we can win the classic.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Is there anything else we need to talk about?
I mean, we did kind of the predictions I kind of wanted to do already with the upcoming like games on stream.
Well, you're welcome. I was ahead of the curve on that one.
gotta push that one through. But even looking at the offline games, like I know people don't really care since they don't see them. But let's focus like on because the second division pool only has 2 games next week, this Sunday. But for like Div 1, we have TSH versus CTR.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think is gonna come out on top? Like, do you think that CTR can pull through, or because of the roster of TSH right now, it's just kind of ooh.
I feel like CTR can pull through. They just need to play their own game instead of falling into the Willy Wonka draft factory that is now TSH instead of TG, sorry. Like they have a couple. TSH has a couple of members of TG, and they just thrive in chaos. And just if CTR can avoid it, then they win. If not, unfortunately, they lose.
Okay, so
Fair enough.
we are having a big rage moment for CTR here.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have, of course, like IT versus PL, which probably we're gonna I think it's pretty PL favored, or how would you say?
Yeah, I don't think you can go around that. Like, it's just a fact that Purple Emperor Lizards looks really good right now. And I just hope Russian FC can show off something.
Okay. Then we have, of course. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, I did want to just touch on a little bit on that roster, right? Because it's kind of an interesting roster where you just look at it and you're like, oh, maybe to expect a little bit more from Infinity. Like they did a pretty good showing, obviously, but like I don't know. Actually maybe did expect a little bit more. I look at 404 tier 404 last season, right? It's basically the same roster.
Yeah.
And even if Ralston didn't like 1v9 the games, right? Didn't have like that great performance, they still pulled out the win. And the top side seems to be a lot more solid, I think. Even though, like, obviously they did go a bit down versus Team Blender, right? Because obviously Wizard got very fed on that Olaf. But that was kind of a little bit of a matchup diff and a little bit of where the jungle's focusing different. It did seem like a more cohesive team rather than just you cross your fingers and hope Ralston can 1v9.
Yeah. I mean, like, personally, from what I've seen in this season and last, like, I'm not too impressed with the top side of Infinite Team. And I also feel like I give them not enough credit, or people don't give him enough credit.
It's interesting though. It's kind of interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to interrupt to make that point. So I was thinking about that narrative before I got that. I was like, oh, I didn't actually talk about that before. So I just wanted to bring that up a little bit.
Just like squeeze that in at the end.
Squeeze it in, just get it in there.
Then of course we have CTR versus TB, where I believe that CTR can definitely pull through. And then as the last game, of course ETR versus Infinite Team, where I hope my drafts will be strong enough. I believe.
I don't think your drafts are that great, dude.
Bro, come on, man. What the fuck?
They were rated C tier last week, so.
Oh.
Did you do the drafts?
We worked together, but like the style.
I guess so. You were the good bits.
Shame on you. Shame on you. You worked on it.
Okay, dude.
I mean, I do want to point out, like, drafts can't exist in like a vacuum, right? Like, there are good drafts, but like, if your players want to pick comfort, even at like the top level, right? You can be a coach, you can have the best drafts you possibly want, and then for players like, I don't think that's a good matchup, or can't play that matchup necessarily. You can't just go like, well, I guess we can't do more. And obviously, I mean, drafts. We talked a little bit about before as well. Like, drafts can only go a certain distance, right? Playing comfort is obviously a very important factor as well. So even like I don't want to blame you for necessarily having, middle of the pack drafts.
No, bottom of the pack.
We also had like my two solo lanes hadn't played League for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm playing with a fucked up hand, so.
Yeah, so you still know how to play the game, and you play Jin.
Yeah, and Misfortune.
Very, very mechanically intense champions.
Exactly. Play to your strengths, right?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't fully do the draft. Like the way I approach drafting is I come up with like rough ideas, like a few champions, like 3 champions maybe for each position, and then if my players don't like him, they can just like say no, I think this champion is better, and then that's what we go. So it's kind of a 50-50 between me and my players, basically.
Yeah, something I learned from last season, and never listen to your players.
Well, the difference is I believe in my players, and my players aren't. I don't feel like they are the same caliber as DFG of last season. But anyways, I mean, yeah, I think we got to most things to say. We had predictions, and I think everything was said. So
we've not talked about my off season.
Nothing happened in the off season.
Sure, buddy. Sure.
But yeah, I mean, we already got a long time rambling on here, but I first want to thank you, Mr. Dyrone, the AD carry of 19 Woodcutting, for joining us, and
You're
of
welcome. course,
CasuallyCutie for being my wonderful co-host for this episode. This podcast will be available on YouTube and hopefully SoundCloud.
Hopefully, we'll see what we can do.
Prage. But yeah, so I guess we see you guys that are listening to it on stream this Sunday.
Yeah, obviously should tune in same time, same place as always. I will be there as always. I can't leave. Actually, Bats has locked me in the basement, but honestly, I'm locking myself in my basement to get this done. But yeah, no, we're going to be on this Sunday. We talked a bit about the matches coming up. It's going to be interesting. Going to be great. Definitely come and watch.
All right. Well, then, thank you, you two. And till next time.
Yeah, I'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Well, we'll get hopefully a different guest. I was about to say that'll be on Thursday. We'll see if we can get somebody else from
Different guests.
Yeah, I won't be available next week. So.
Oh, well, that's brilliant for us and good excuse.
Hell yeah.
If you've listened to the end of the podcast, you should just message Conan, ask him to be on it, because you're clearly a huge dork, huge nerd who enjoys the EAL as much as we do. And if you want to be on, just send Conan a DM, and I'm sure we'll be able to find some time for you. But yeah, that's all for us from this week.